Hey everybody, we're back. Just barely, still dealing with this virus. Um, we're doing Dawn of the Dead extended version review today. It came out in 1978. It is a sequel, apparently, to Night of the Living Dead, which came out years before. But anyway, it stars Galen Ross as Francine, an employee at a radio station. Scott Reiniger as Roger, a member of the SWAT team. David Emge as Stephen, a weatherman and helicopter pilot for the radio station. And Kim Faree as Peter, another member of the SWAT team. The movie begins inside the radio or TV studio. People are walking around hurriedly, sitting, standing, something is going on. An expert, like a doctor or scientist, is speaking on a TV monitor in the background. He says, quote, "Everybody that is not exterminated will get up again and kill. You have to destroy their brains, or separate their brain stems from the body." In response to his...
Meaning cut their head off.
Yeah. Or, as Marco just said, cut their heads off. But that's the way he put it on the movie. In response to his words, people start yelling, and as if they don't agree with him. That yes, they agree, kill the zombies, but don't shoot them in the head like it's inhumane. The scientist doctor argues that these aren't your family and friends anymore, and it's important to take these drastic measures in order to get rid of them. Quote, sorry, "They kill for food," he warns, and quote, "they are multiplying too rapidly," end quote. He continues getting blowback from the audience. A girl named Francine is sitting at a desk, listening to the scientist doctor, when a nicely dressed man named Stephen, a radio station weather forecaster and helicopter pilot, walks up and asks for her to meet him on the roof at midnight. Meanwhile, a SWAT team is trading fire with a group of armed men at an apartment building. It is the middle of the city, and there are many people living here who are predominantly of color, it appears. SWAT fights them off and enters the building. One of the SWAT team is racist and shoots anybody and everybody, whether they are a zombie or not.
They had guns, though.
Not all of them. In some of the apartments, some of the people have turned into zombies, but some are okay. But they don't know what's going to happen when they open the doors to the apartments. It's a chaotic and dangerous situation in which two SWAT members, Roger and Peter, decide to flee the scene into an area building where nothing is going on. Roger is also supposed to meet Stephen on the roof at midnight. He asks Peter if he wants to go too. They meet Fran and Stephen, and they all leave in the chopper. From there, it is a quest for survival, with a lot of heartbreaking moments, as well as tender, sad, and believe it or not, many comical situations. Because this is an extended version, the movie includes a lot more detail about the four main characters and their attempts to survive this terrible situation. Go ahead.
Well, this movie is considered a classic. It has a lot of great elements to it, but I don't know if it's like a great movie. It's fun. like I don't. I'm not mad that I watched it like some of the other movies this year, like that horrible Incredibles 2, and then Infinity War had some garbage stuff in it. But what I really liked about this movie was the music and the characters, but at the same time, I felt like there was some sort of ingredient missing. Like maybe there should have been some script revisions because George Romero didn't really have any person revising his work, so he basically really got to do whatever he wanted. And I felt like that was a strength and then a weakness. So you get two sides. And also, I think that this movie is not as good as Night of the Living Dead, especially because it's not as scary. In fact, it's not scary at all, which is bad. You know, that's a horror. It's a horror movie. It's supposed to be scary, but it's more like a parody almost. Like it's a parody of a horror movie. It's a parody of Night of the Living Dead. It's a mix between a parody and a horror movie, rather than being entirely a horror movie. And because it also seems like they're trying to revise Night of the Living Dead a little bit by having this main blonde woman. They change her from the woman in Night of the Living Dead, Barbara. They change her from being frantic and hysterical into being somewhat capable and strong towards the end. And so it feels like they're trying to like redo that character, and I don't like that at all because I feel like there's going to be some people in that type of situation where they don't know what to do, so they're like hysterical and having a fit. And so I think that her that the Barbara was scarier because she was portraying that fear. And this character, she she eventually grew and became more of like a fighter. And it was funny at the beginning. She wanted to go help them, and they're like, "No, you're gonna stay. You're gonna stay here until you learn how to handle yourself out there." And I thought that was great because, you know, in a real life situation, you would not want these uh, scared people coming along, possibly screwing things up for you. What do you think, Safi?
Well, I just wrote a little sketch about each character. That Peter is portrayed as the strongest, most honest person. He and Roger have very big parts. Peter never hesitates to lay it out before everybody. He doesn't shy away from telling them the truth, even if it is unpleasant. Roger, now that was a SWAT team person. Roger, the other SWAT team person, he's a good SWAT person, but he gets careless, but he's still caring. And Fran, like Marco said, at the beginning, she doesn't have much of a part. She's almost like part of the background. But as their struggle to survive gets more intense, the director expands her screen time. And it's the same with her boyfriend Stephen, who mainly reacts to everybody and everything. The movie actually makes you think, what would you do in a situation like this? They develop strategies to stay alive, to keep the zombies away. And like Marco said, even in an extended version, the editing doesn't stop. So,
I haven't said that yet.
well, yeah, you did. You said that the editors needed to do a little more
No,
editing.
I was talking about the script.
Oh, the script?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was okay.
I said that because the script, it feels like draft one. It doesn't feel like there's been several drafts. So
Could be.
it it, it feels like there was work that needed to be done. I liked most of the characters though. I really liked uh whatever his name is. What's the guy's name? The black guy.
Peter.
Okay, I really liked Peter. He was the best character, and he was very supportive of everybody, and he even I liked when he gave the two a romantic dinner. That was cool because it was like he's this real character. He's gonna cook for them and be nice to them and help them have an enjoyable experience in the middle of this horrible situation.
Okay, well, to explain what Mark was talking about,
We don't need to explain.
you don't want to? Okay.
People have seen the movie.
Okay.
I don't like the look of the zombies either. I think that the zombies looked a lot better in Night of the Living Dead. In this one, they have this very gray look to them, and I think that makes them kind of look cartoony. So, what do you think about the zombies' look, Sophie?
Well, it could be the fact that Night of the Living Dead was filmed in black and white, right?
Yeah.
So they had to do different things, techniques, to bring out the zombie look in a black and white movie. So when you're dealing in color, it might be completely different. And so they were novice at or green at doing the zombie look in the newer version, and they didn't do it as well as they could, or could be done. They just didn't know how.
Well, in Night of the Living Dead, I liked a lot how the skin, like, I don't know how to describe it, it's just, you could tell that they were zombies, but that they had this very ghoulish look to them. Like, there's something inside of them that is making them act a certain way, and they're to the way that the sounds, there's a lot of good sound design in the first one. But anyway, back to Dawn of the Dead. The music was pretty good, but actually thinking about it, a lot of the music didn't really go with it, and there were some times where the music actually repeated, like the same song repeated over and over again. And so I really don't like that aspect. But there are some really good moments. I really liked the part, the act 3, the last act where the motorcyclists come in and screw everything up because they were just horrible, and they didn't have like any common sense whatsoever. They could have said, "Hey, can you send us down some supplies, or can you give us something?" And they might have done it, but instead they just immediately break down the barriers to the mall. And Sophie hated them, right, Sophie? You hated them. You were like, God, these people are stupid.
Yeah. I can't say anything else about them. They're stupid, and I had to fast forward through it pretty much, that part. Cause
Yeah, you
I
fast
knew they were going
forwarded
to do
through.
something dumb, so
You didn't watch it.
I couldn't take it. It's and that's, I know that's really chicken, you know what, but I couldn't help it. Yeah, I just was actually I felt pretty good when I did this review. I wasn't sick yet. Mark was the one who was really sick.
Yeah, this was my first week of being sick, and so
I wrote this
wanted to
before
watch
Christmas. So, but I sometimes when people act when people act stupid, like it kind of reminds me of the reviews that we did with oh what's that movie about? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where they're just practically, and it's like that commercial on TV, and they walk right towards the guy who's got a mask, and he's got chains hanging from the ceiling, and the guy's looking at him like, are they dumb or what? And I just sometimes when they show these stupid moments in the movie, I just can't take it. Because I mean, there are real people in real life are stupid like that, and just to see it replayed on a screen, it just makes it even worse. So
Well, these are bad guys, so it's different.
these are bad guys.
And
it's not just stupid.
The main characters are actually pretty smart. Aside the blonde guy, he's a little overconfident.
He's brash. Meaning he just jumps into at first because they're SWAT team people and they're trained to be careful because they're dealing with very, very precarious situations. But in this situation, they're not with their team. They're like they're actually SWAT people who've gone rogue because they've left their post. So he's not going to act as disciplined. Peter, on the other hand, he is acting disciplined. In fact, he's kind of like rock solid for the whole group. Like I said, he was honest, and if somebody was doing something really stupid and dangerous and endanger the whole group, he'd say so, and he wouldn't care about spare their feelings and be careful. He would just say it like it was, and that was a good thing. That's what saved him. They couldn't. In this kind of situation, you could not pretend and say everything's going to be okay because you just have to be on your guard constantly.
There's a lot of wish fulfillment wish fulfillment. Like I don't know how to explain it, but it's gotten to the point nowadays where people actually say stuff like, "Oh, I look forward to a zombie apocalypse happening because that means I could do whatever I wanted. Like, I could raid a store," and so there's some of that in this movie, and it's like that's gotten really out of hand nowadays because these people who say stuff like that, if that really happened, they'd be like some of the first people that get killed because they're so stupid and they don't know what they're talking about, and I really like that, though, the fact that they're in this mall where they can just get anything they want and at their disposal. But the thing is that they can't, because every time they go somewhere, they have to devise like a plan to go across this area and like have the zombies go a certain place and like they're animals or something, and so that was pretty interesting. But overall, it's not as scary as the first one. I think that's where it really falters. It's got some creepy moments, and I really liked the moment towards the end when Roger, is his name wait, Peter. When Peter
is the African American cool
I really liked
SWAT guy.
I really liked his character growth at the end because I hate, well, I'll talk about it in the spoilers. It's just I hate certain character traits that certain characters have. But anyway.
Well, I have saddest, heart-wrenching moments. I have a couple, but I guess we'll just save those for the spoilers. But you want to do the review? Do you want to rank it or rate it now?
Yeah, go ahead and give your review.
Okay, well, like I said, I wrote this before Christmas.
Yeah.
So I've got Christmas in mind, okay? First, I had a hard time trying to figure out a food rating for Dawn of the Dead extended version. There's some grossness in it of zombies eating people, but I did enjoy the movie overall. I watched a lot of holiday baking championship shows. Also Cutthroat Kitchen and another cooking show called The Worst Home Cooks in America. Also, I've been Christmas shopping online and I Christmas shopped online and saw plenty of different foods to order for Christmas. So, in honor of the Christmas that has already gone by, I picked a giant Rice Krispie treat in the shape of a candy cane with red and green M&Ms scattered amongst it, the popped corn, and the end of the whole thing dipped in caramel. It's my own invention, which I'll call the Dawn of the Dead Holiday Special. Okay, go ahead, Marco.
It is a tough one because it's just not great, and it's not bad either. It's like in the middle. And there were some really good effects in this movie too, especially the moment when Tom Savini just shoves a machete through the zombie's head, and it just splits right open in his head. That was cool. The thing with eating the person and all the intestines, that was cool. Yeah. So, all in all, I give this movie. I'm rethinking it. It's hard. I give this movie a pretzel, one of those hot pretzels you can get, just a plain hot pretzel with some salt, a moderate amount, and some nacho cheese sauce that's not really that flavorful, and just it's like an average movie for me. Maybe if I had seen it back then, I would have said differently. But there's another problem with this movie. I can't tell that time passes. Like, it's the same thing with the pretzel. You eat it, it takes 2 seconds to eat. Because I don't know if you noticed, but in middle school, for lunch, they would have kids eating just here's your lunch, sorry. And they would give you a pretzel. They would give you a hot pretzel with nacho cheese sauce, and they would say, that's your lunch. I mean, that's a lunch? Really? That fulfills the food groups? That gives you, like, the protein and everything?
I don't think so.
Bullshit. And it's the same thing with this movie. It's like one moment it's on, one moment it's over. But there were some slow parts, like like it should have been cut out, or the script should have been better. So it's a pretzel. It's a pretzel, and it's a good snack, but it's not a good meal whatsoever, in my opinion. So.
Okay.
Now on to the spoilers. I really liked when Peter decided not to kill himself, because there's been a lot of characters nowadays where they're like suicidal.
Well, they just give up.
And like at the end they just give up and die and like sacrifice themselves. I hate that. I think that's like one of the worst character traits out there. They did that in Wolfenstein 2, the video game, and he really wants to die, and he's like, I'm gonna die, and I'm just gonna give up, and then what happens is he gets executed, and then they bring him back to life, so.
Well, I have a few heart-wrenching moments. Now, since this is a zombie movie, it's a scary movie, or whatever, you know, not all the main characters are going to survive. So, well, first of all, one moment it was really, and I could see it would be a problem, even to just act it out. If you're really a very sensitive person and you're in tune to children, infected children, I mean, they're zombies. There's nothing to be done. They go after Peter, and he has to shoot them. And that was a really horrible moment. And I would think that would even be horrible for the actor, even if it's just
Well, he said it was. He said it was awkward for him.
Yeah, so, some of these things that actors do, they are acting, because it's just, and that kind of thing, I don't think they have to act too much if it really bothers them. that they would have to do something like that. The other one is kind of like the spoiler. Roger, like we said, he gets cocky and they've gone rogue, so they're not in their little disciplined group. And when they're in a disciplined group, they're almost kind of like soldiers. And if they make a wrong move, they make a mistake, they can get themselves and everybody killed. So they really do have to have discipline. He just gets cocky, like the zombies are stupid. He's playing around, and he gets bitten, and he gets chewed on through his carelessness, and you know what's going to happen. And they try to keep him normal as long as they can, but
I like that moment a lot too when he turns into a zombie and
yeah,
and Peter has to shoot him. That was a great moment.
it was.
And
Peter, they liked each other. I mean, everybody liked them. They were sad because they knew what was going to happen, and it was just going to happen any day. They were doing everything
and
they could.
I kind of thought that Peter was a little gay because it seemed like he had a crush on the male characters, or it was just because I don't know, he's really sad about them. I don't know, but again,
I don't care about
if but he acted like he was broken up about them because so much time has passed. They bonded with each other. I can't really tell that a lot. Like, I can tell it a lot in the remake. So I really think the biggest problem with this movie is time passing. Because like a month goes by the way. A month. Like a whole month. And I couldn't really tell. I thought it was more like 2 days. When I first saw the movie, like years and years ago, 2 days. And it's clearly not 2 days because she's pregnant and it starts showing. My favorite character again is Peter. My least favorite character would be, that's tough, probably the SWAT guy who's racist, but he was lukewarm because there's going to be a lot of those types of people who come out and they have guns and they'll shoot anybody they can to quote defend themselves, and I just it sounds like I'm negative on this, but it's just I don't know what to say about it besides it has good stuff and bad stuff about it. I'm really in the middle on it. What was your favorite scene, Safi?
Well, they end up at this mall. That's almost like the second half of the movie.
Yeah, unfortunately.
They set it up to where they kill all the zombies who've gotten inside, and everything's good until those stupid people come along and ruin it. But she goes around, and this is where they kind of went haywire with the editing. But what can I say? She fixes her hair and puts on makeup. They all get.
Oh yeah, you didn't like that part.
They all get new clothes, and
I like that.
And it's kind of fun. It's almost where you just don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about how much money it costs, and you don't have to worry about what it looks like because it's something that you really want.
Well, that's what I was saying. I was saying about this like wish fulfillment of like, oh, I can get anything I want.
It's just it's kind of like a break from really what they're facing and what's going to come down the line and what could come down the line. It's not going to last because it's a horror movie, so
it didn't really seem like much of a break to me though. Like it seemed like they had to keep moving the zombies and hurting them to a certain area, so they didn't really get much of a break.
Yeah.
Again, I really like the remake, like especially after watching this movie now. The remake is like a masterpiece compared to this one, and that's nothing against George Romero, because he just died last year. It's nothing against him and his skills. It's just I feel like Night of the Living Dead is way better, and I also feel like this movie had some good stuff in it, but overall is lacking. So that's just my opinion.
Okay, well, I think we should wrap it up.
Yeah. Next, we'll be doing Dracula, Prince of Darkness.
Yes, and hopefully after that we're going to finally do our Hallmark Christmas movies, because I'm telling you folks, they made so many. Who has the time to watch all those? And who had the time, especially with all the things you have to do for the holidays, to watch them all before Christmas? Especially when you don't have the TV channel that carries them. You have to depend on YouTube to watch them. At least the ones that were made this year.
The funniest thing was when I was trying to watch the Christmas Train last year, and I clicked on this video. It was like an hour and 40 minutes. It said the Christmas Train, and it turned out to be a completely different movie.
Which happens all the time on YouTube. It really is irksome, but I think it has to do with this copyright thing, and they're trying to keep the movie on there, but they're tricking them by calling it something else, and
which is good. They're providing a great service.
They are providing, well, especially for somebody who likes watching them.
And some of these movies we've reviewed, like Phantasm 2, Phantasm 1.
We really appreciate everybody posting these videos that we would have no access to. I do have a Hallmark app where I can watch some of these movies, but really they're not the most current ones. They're ones that they've had in other years. And how many movies did you say they made this year?
No, this was 2016 when they did that.
Well, they still do it, but anyway.
They made 40 movies in 2016.
Okay, well, so that's in 2016. They made 40 movies, and I read they made a whole bunch. How does anybody have time to watch all that?
Well, I can think of the types of people who watch this, and they have a lot of time to do stuff.
Sometimes I'll I'll wake up in the middle of the night, I'll have a muscle cramp or something, and I'll watch a Hallmark movie to catch up. But I've been too ill. I had to have my sleep, so I didn't watch anything, except maybe once, and that was before I got sick. But I had to get my sleep. But
YouTube is where you could watch a lot of stuff. YouTube was where I first watched Sleepaway Camp 2, because they have both sleepaway camps on YouTube, and instead of doing like really complicated tricks like that, they would do this. They would say Sleepaway Camp 2, part 1 of 7. And then they would post part 2 of 7, 3, 4, 5. And it would be like you'd watch the movie in parts. And so, I mean, YouTube really, really helps out with that type of stuff.
And it is helpful because, I mean...
That's where we watched this movie. Dawn of the Dead. Extended edition on YouTube.
Yep. So anyway... We have one more. We have a Hammer movie. Oh, wait a minute. We have to do a Dr. Jekyll movie. We're still doing that?
Yeah.
So we have that to do, too. So, see, we're still not even...
Well,
we just got way behind.
She's not looking at the list that she has in her purse.
No. I have a bean soup recipe on it, and that's what part of the problem is. But anyway, goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
See you soon.